Welcome back, golfers. Today we are going to show you guys how to optimize your driver, so stay tuned. So when we're talking about our driver, things we want to really look at is setup number one, and that all starts with alignment. So I'm going to put down an alignment stick, and you can see the fairway out there. We're going to put this going right down the middle. And that's just going to give me a nice path for my body line and my swing plane as well. So when I'm setting up here, I want to see my feet going right down that alignment stick. So that's my body path. And then my club is on its own path, and that's the swing path. So when those two are lined up in parallel lines, then our body doesn't have to manufacture a golf swing. We can just swing through, our body can just open up, and we just move towards our target, which is the fairway out there. So when we're setting up to a driver, what I want to see is first in your stance that the ball positions on the inside part of that lead heel. Once you're in that position, your left arm should just kind of fall. Hips now going to bump a little bit to the left. And then I want you to kind of settle into your feet so you feel your weight evenly distributed between left and right. So once you're nice and set up, we're also going to want to make sure our hips are tilted downward. So if you're looking at my center of my hip bone, which is right here, I want to see that sitting right on the back of that heel. That will, if we're standing straight up, you just stand there, press that hip back, and you can feel your hips start to tilt downwards, and you'll feel your weight redistributes down the middle. So as we set up, inside part of the ball's on the inside part of that heel, looking down at the grip, I see two knuckles looking down. It's a nice neutral grip. Right hand kind of meets it, and you can see there's a little bit of tilt coming down. So if I'm looking at my spine tilt or my sternum, I want that sternum to be aiming right at the golf ball. I don't want to be back here. This is called a negative spine tilt. That's what we call a positive spine tilt. So it's really important that we maintain a positive spine tilt, not only at address, but through the whole process of the golf swing. From setup, to load, to transition, impact, and then through to finish. We still maintain that positive spine tilt. So after we get through our setup, and setup's 90% of a successful shot, so let's really concentrate heavily on our setup. But after we get through our setup, let's look at our footwork. And when we're talking about footwork, I want to make sure you guys get a nice big load, allowing those hips to really turn, and let that hip tilt stay down as you make that turn. As you make that transition, those knees will square up, and I want that to happen very quickly into the start of the downswing, where our knees square up, and then we can just work through towards our target. So the driver, because it is the longest club in our bag, and the fact that we're going to be catching it on the upswing instead of on the downswing, it takes a lot more pounds of pressure to make our transition, up through the shoulders and in through the hips. So we really need to make sure we get a big open turn as we come in impact. And the other area that we're going to start focusing on is the V in our legs. So that V in our legs right there, as we make our swing, we're going to try to maintain that V in our legs as we come into impact. By doing that, it'll allow us to catch the ball in the upswing. What we don't want to see in the V of our legs is to get here and then shove our V forward as we come into impact, like you would an iron shot. Because what that's going to do is make it so we're catching on the downswing, and it's going to make it hard for us to actually release the club or even square up the club. You might hit a lot of shots to the right, squeezed low pushes to the right. So we want to see the V in our legs maintain, transition, and maintain, and then come into impact and still maintain. And then as we come through, we'll start pressing forward. but that's after the ball's already gone, that our hips and that V is actually going to move forward into the finish. And you can see when I finish, my chest is still back. So when we're swinging, I want to show you guys the difference between an iron swing and the driver swing. So when I'm setting up to an iron, you can see the ball position. You know, this is a 7 iron. I place the ball a little bit further forward than most people, but you can see it's not way up here. The other thing we're looking at is posture-wise, where my sternum's at. You know, still have a positive spine tilt, but you see my sternum's not in this position. It's more at the golf ball. So when I'm taking a swing here, you can also see that my body works more through the golf ball rather than maintaining that V in the legs and then working through and hanging those hips back as we come in through the driver. So let's look at a side-by-side comparison here, and you guys will see the difference.
So we got Rory Mcllroy here, so I'm going to use him because he's a great model for how we should be transferring our energy, you know, through our transition. He's going to show us on the right side with an iron, on the left side with the driver, so we can see the difference. So let's take it to his iron first. He has a nice coil. You can see the V in his legs. As he coils back, you can kind of see he maintains it. And then as he starts his transition, you can see he bumps forward and falls towards the target. And then he completes his transition about right there. So his knees square up, his weight squares up. He maybe even gets a touch to the left, but his body gets to the wall. You can see with an iron in the transition, your V in your legs moves forward. Now let's watch Rory with the driver. Big rotation back. First move coming down through the transition. About right there. So about the same position, right and left, head position's the same, but you can see on the left side he's trying to maintain his V without sliding towards the target, and on the right side with the iron he's already shifted his weight all the way to the left. So what this does, so with the iron, when he comes into it, he's able to compress the ball and then make contact with the turf after, because he's ahead of the ball. His weight's left of the golf ball, or to the target side of the golf ball. And with the driver, he wants to bottom that club out, and Rory uses a little bit more loft than most golfers, so he doesn't have a very big upward angle of attack, but he has a little bit right there. And you can see he bottoms the club out back here and then goes through the hit right there. So you can see what he's doing, you know, like what we talked about. He's maintaining his positive spine tilt through the golf ball. Positive spine tilt. And he maintains that V in his legs. He holds it back through the transition, so he doesn't get too far forward, so he can bottom the club out behind the golf ball so he catches it on the upswing. And that allows the club face to have more time to square up. You can also look where his lead hip is sitting right there versus impact on his iron, which you see on the other side, which is already on his lead side.
So in the last video I did, I showed you guys when I was showing you guys impact, I showed you a drill where you took it to your load, went into a transition, and then swing to finish. And I still think that's a great drill to continue to practice. I use it a lot just to really feel that transition, so that I feel what I want to get in the transition is basically my hips to open up, or a squish into the left heel, and then this feeling of the swing after the transition happens. So when you're practicing, a couple ways we could do that. One, that way that I just showed you. Just practice load, transition, swing to finish. Another great drill I've nicknamed the Tom Watson drill, which is a heel lift. See, it's an actual physical lift of the lead heel. You drop it. You can see how my knee moves. Drops it, and then the swing happens afterwards. And you can do that in full motion. You can hit golf shots that way. It's how we, golf was taught in the 90s and before that. So, lift, heel, lift, transition, which is a squish. See that arm sticks to the chest, and then the swing. And I actually really like that feeling because it's an external move rather than leaving that heel down there, where it's an internal move, and it's a little bit harder, especially if you're not as strong or if you're not as limber. It's much easier to actually physically lift that left heel, drop it, and then swing through. So I want to give you guys another really good drill to also help practice your swing, and really to maintain those positions coming through the golf ball, really to maintain that V, as you're coming through. And the drill I really like is a driver chip, or a chip driver swing. When you do a chip driver swing, it's, all we're pretty much doing is just taking a little half swing back, half swing through, and just really concentrate on keeping those hands below the shoulder line, so it's sitting kind of in here rather than up there. Same thing both sides. And when you do that, you're going to feel those hips are going to really stabilize. You're going to feel the core when you're coming through. Try to maintain your posture. This also is really good for maintaining posture. Right there. So if you can maintain posture, you're going to find the center of the face much easier. And everybody knows if you hit the center of the face, the ball goes much better. So let's watch me hit one of these chip driver practice drills. So golfers, if you focus on those areas, number one being alignment, making sure our feet are going towards our target or down, parallel to our swing path. Number two, keeping a good posture, making sure also that we're seeing two knuckles in that left hand in our grip, and keeping a nice spine tilt where our weight is nice evenly distributed. Keep a nice back, straight back. That being number one. Number two, on the backswing, getting a good load, a good transition, and then working towards our target as we come through. And then number three, focusing on that V in the legs, maintaining it as we come in. Don't let your hips slide forward or even stay back. I don't want either of those. I want to see that V stay nice and solid. You see that position right there maintains the same spot, and then coming into impact, we maintain in that same V formation of our legs, and that allows us to catch the ball in the upswing and really be able to square up the face. So I gave you that chip drill. If you do that one, I guarantee it's not as easy as it looks. Really concentrate on trying to make it short. It's pretty hard to actually make a driver swing that short, so do that one. Also continue working on the other drill I've given you guys, which is that load, transition, swing, and just stick that finish. When we're able to do that move consistently, you guys are going to get much better. Remember, if your feet aren't working, your swing's not working. I'll catch you guys next time.